Chapter 417, Extravagant Life. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen took out the half-saint bone bead and handed it to Huang Yanshan in case of accidents. He owned Dragon Pearl, which had superior defensive power. Though the half-saint bone bead was also very powerful, it was not essential to him. "I lend the holy sword to you." Huang Yanshan put a hand into her long blue hair, removed the white jade hairpin and handed it to Zhang Yuochen. "It's not necessary. It's enough to deal with him by using the violet thunder sword." Zhang Yuochen was very confident and calm as if he had already had countermeasures. Swish. Master Yuxin ruled the spiritual chi of wood nature, flying in the sky, and came above Zhang Yuochen and Huang Yanjian. When he saw the corpses of the Master King Mu and the masters of the evil wood palace, he was boiling with rage. "Who are you? Don't you know the end of fighting against the evil wood palace?" With supernatural power, Master Yuxin's voice became thundering. He uttered words like thrilling thunders, which vibrated the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. In particular, Huang Yanshan felt pain in eardrums, just like a divine drum beating in the ears. Her whole body was boiling with vital energy and blood. In fact, she was not weak. Instead, she was enough to compete with the warriors of the completion of heaven. But, the cultivation of Master Yuxin was too deep, so that she was injured by the power of sound. Zhang Yuochen looked at the Master Yuxin, who was flying about 33 meters high above the ground. He was fearless because there was a celestial body shield which could resist the power of sound waves. He said, "It's amazing that you can fly in the sky based on your cultivation. In my opinion, you've cultivated into treasured body of wood spirit and can control the spiritual chi of wood nature. So you can fly in the sky even if your cultivation hasn't reached the half-saint realm." Under normal circumstances, only those who reached the half-saint realm could mobilize the spiritual chi and fly in the air. However, some talented practitioners refined into special physical qualities, so that they could control the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and fly across the sky. Master King Mu and Master Yuxin were both at the first change of the fish-dragon realm. Master Yuxin had practiced the treasured body of wood spirit, so his strength was far beyond Master King Mu. Zhang Yuochen brandished the violet thunder sword to form the shape of a flower and pointed it to Master Yuxin, saying, "There's nothing more to be said. Let's fight." Master Yuxin sneered and said, "Junior, you're wrong in supposing that you can fight with me since you have killed Master King Mu. To tell the truth, it's easy for me to kill Master King Mu, so it is with you." Root of heaven and earth, Master Yuxin mobilized the spiritual chi of wood nature to the top of the crystal wand. He pointed to the ground with the wand. In a flash, a large green tree grew out of the ground. The trunks, branches, and roots of the big tree grew thicker and thicker. It became a towering tree of 100 meters high. Whoosh! Leaves were sharp like knives. From all directions, they hit Zhang Yuochen fiercely. At the foot of Zhang Yuochen was a blood wave with a diameter of 9 meters. In the blood wave, the 9-handled blood sword, 1 dragon, and 1 elephant were flying. The incoming branches and leaves were constantly crushed into pieces. Boom! As Master Yuxin waved the crystal wand, a giant tree as heavy as a millstone was immediately formed. It weighed in several tens of thousands of kilograms and flew to hit Zhang Yuochen. The giant tree smashed the blood wave under Zhang Yuochen's foot with a crackle. Blood swords, blood dragons, and blood elephant were completely turned into smoke. Zhang Yuochen immediately waved the violet thunder sword to straightly cut off the giant tree. However, he was shaken by the powerful force and flew back about 66 meters away. How strong the power is! If I didn't use the power of martial soul, I wouldn't be able to withstand 10 moves. Zhang Yuochen only felt pain in his arms. His jaw of hand was torn by that force and kept bleeding. It was no more than that. Master Yuxin smiled coldly and his despise for Zhang Yuochen became a little more. He stepped on the ground and chased after Zhang Yuochen. Wherever he trod with his feet, a metal-colored vine rushed out of the earth. It then turned into a combat whip to lash Zhang Yuochen. Snap! He gave a lash with the combat whip in the air, which suddenly generated a large spark. If someone was lashed by the combat whip, the wound it caused would be imaginable. Among all weapons, whip techniques break sword techniques. Kid, you have nowhere to escape. Master Yuxin managed 18 combat whips and simultaneously lashed Zhang Yuochen to block all his retreats. Whichever direction he escaped to, he would be whipped. Bump. Zhang Yuochen cut off 3 combat whips at a time, but he still failed to escape. 2 combat whips cracked and lashed him in the chest, and the celestial body she held was pierced through. Zhang Yuochen was tossed out. When he was about to fall into the river, a current of genuine chi suddenly turned into wind power and spouted from his body's pores to gently support his body. His body was like a leaf, fluttering down to the surface of the river. He touched the surface of the water with tiptoe and engendered ripples. Zhang Yuochen looked at his chest and saw his specially refined silvery martial robe was pierced by the combat whip. There left 2 whip scars, below which the skin could be clearly seen. However, Zhang Yuochen was not injured under the protection of Dragon Pearl. Ha ha, go to die, kid. Master Yuxin followed up a victory with hot pursuit. He jumped up and rushed to Zhang Yuochen, who was standing above the water level, trying to give him a fatal blow. He did not know that the reason why Zhang Yuochen had not used the power of martial soul was that he wanted to bring him here. Seeing Master Yuxin swooping around, Zhang Yuochen slightly upturned and began to mobilize his spiritual power. Boom! When Master Yuxin flew halfway, from the water surface below him, a huge bubble suddenly poured out and burst. The monster ape quickly rushed out of the water and punched Master Yuxin's chest. Puff! Master Yuxin spat out blood and half of his bones cracked. The monster ape was so powerful that Master Yuxin was punched to the vault of heaven of 200 meters high. At the same time, Zhang Yuochen, who stood over the water level, had completely mobilized his spiritual power and pointed a finger to the sky. A streak of purple thunderbolt flew across the sky like a lightning dragon and struck Master Yuxin. Bump! In a flash, Master Yuxin was struck by and penetrated by the thunderbolt. Master Yuxin was burning like a lantern. When he fell to the ground, he had become pieces of charred flesh. Oh woo! The monster ape stood by the river and shouted so loud that the waves ran high. Zhang Yuochen stretched out his arms and caught the falling crystal wand. Then, he mobilized his chi with both hands to break it into 2 pieces with a bang. In this crystal wand, there was indeed a small piece of purple cloud-patterned eaglewood about half a catty. After packing up the purple cloud-patterned eaglewood, Zhang Yuochen walked in the waves, returned to the shore, and met with Huang Yanjun. Evil Wood Palace continuously lost 2 kings of masters. They're not going to tolerate. It is said that the palace master is an extremely powerful figure. He is beyond the first change in the fish dragon realm. We'd better leave this place quickly, Huang Yanchen said with a little worry. Master King Mu and Master Yuxin were just in the first change in the fish dragon realm, so their strength was not too strong. Of course, Master Yuxin had practiced the treasured body of wood spirit. He would not suffer serious loss even if he fought against practitioners of the second change or the third change in the fish dragon realm. Zhang Yuochen's instant success was attributed to the monster ape's surprise attack. If not, it was uncertain whether Zhang Yuochen could kill him. Even he used the power of martial soul and collaborated with the monster ape. The Evil Wood Palace's master was far greater than the first change in the fish dragon realm. Moreover, he must have practiced the treasured body of wood spirit. If a person was one realm above the others, their difference would be double. Even if Evil Wood Palace's master was only in the second change in the fish dragon realm, Zhang Yuochen had no ability to resist now. Zhang Yuochen's eyes gleamed with wisdom, saying, "We don't need to have a direct confrontation with Evil Wood Palace's master. But, we must seize its purple cloud-patterned eaglewood. I have an idea that we can have a try." "What is the idea?" Huang Yanjun said. Zhang Yuochen smiled and took out the 2 broken crystal wands of Master Qin and Master Yuxin, saying, "If we lure Evil Wood Palace's master away from the palace, we'll have a chance to seize purple cloud-patterned eaglewood, right?" Zhang Yuochen and Huang Yanchen sat on the monster ape's shoulder and came to Fengling City, which was 500 miles away from the Evil Wood Palace. Among the indigenous masters in Fengling City, those who had attained a cultivation above the completion of the Earth Realm, were almost killed by the talented students of the School of the Martial Market. After those masters were killed, the whole Fengling City became a chaotic city without law, order, and morality. Murder and arson could be seen everywhere. Of course, There were also some people who lived quite comfortable like a local despot. They ate the best meat, drank the best wine, and held the most beautiful women in their arms. For example, Chang Kiki and Seek Singkong lived such a life. When Jiang Yuochen saw them in the duke's mansion, both of them were living an extravagant life. Chang Kiki was surrounded by a large group of servants, and the vast majority were young and beautiful women. Some who sat in his arms and offered kisses played and laughed with him. Some who kneeled on his left and right sides handed glasses ceaselessly. Some good-shaped women danced in sexy and colorful clothes. Seek Singkong sat on the other side with 36 huge wine jars and tasted various kinds of wine. He was very joyful because they were masters, they were respected by all people, and no one dared to provoke them. Bump! The monster ape hit the gate of the duke's mansion and the gate was tossed out like two big iron sheets. They fell in front of Chang Kiki with a thud, and the pretty women surrounding him screamed in fear. Chang Kiki sent out a powerful genuine chi, and those women were blown off. He suddenly stood up with hand on the hilt. Jiang Yuochen walked in with his hands clasped behind the back and laughed, saying, "You two really know how to enjoy yourselves. Do you want to stay in the five elements primitive world forever?"